the first thing that I feel when somebody commits to our program is responsibility. It's like, it's not, oh man, that's a 20 and 10 kid, or we can win 20 games with them. It's like, all right, now I got to walk the walk. Like, I told that family that she would be taken care of. And one way or another, I'm going to make sure that that happens. So that responsibility piece is very important. And I think it's a great balancer to when we get going on the, what are we going to run or who's going to start or whatever. It's like, at the end of the day, take a deep breath and recognize your main job is a service. You're in a service industry as a head coach.
Welcome to the JAMODI Podcast. Today we're joined by the head women's basketball coach at Trinity University, Cameron Hill. Coach Hill, a Trinity alum, returns for his 14th season as head coach, coming off a season that included a run to the SCAC championship game. He enters the year as Trinity's all-time winningest coach with a career record of 288 wins and 66 losses, which ranks third in Division III history among coaches with 10 or more years, and a dominant 167-25 mark in the SCAC. Coach Hill is a three-time SCAC Coach of the Year, two-time D3Hoops.com Regional Coach of the Year, and TABC Small College Coach of the Year. Coach Hill has guided the Tigers to 8 SCAC championships, 8 NCAA tournament appearances, and an NCAA quarterfinal run in 2021-22, highlighted by a school record 27-game winning streak. Before we hear from Coach, take a moment to subscribe to our podcast and follow us on social media at JAMODI Podcast.
Welcome to the Ballology app Ultimate Demo. Trusted by leaders in the game. Ballology is a player development platform built for coaches and players alike. You can expect live shot tracking, workout libraries, and AI insights. You can easily chart team shooting drills in practice or in training sessions. Track all of those shots using an iPhone or an Android device in real time. You can view your team's performance through a video archive or by using our shot charts. After every shooting workout, take a look at your breakdown by viewing your percentages and your shot locations. Let's take a deeper look to learn how to make the most out of the Ballology app. Let's see how you measure up in the Ballology Skills Assessment, where you can test your shooting skills versus other shooters worldwide. Navigate to Ballology AI, where you can ask any question to get answers in real time for smarter training.
Make that footwork a little more sharp.
Coaches or players can create custom workouts in just minutes. Fit your on-court skills or basketball IQ or even strength and conditioning. It can be done on the Ballology app. Compete with everything you do on the Ballology app through our workout leaderboards. Elevate your game with the Ballology app. Download it for free today.
How are you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing great. I'm blown away that we got this right the first time.
We're starting off with a win. It's like making your bed in the morning. We did it.
That's exactly right.
Man, how's everything going?
It's been awesome. The beginning of the school year, just kind of like getting to know the new players and looking forward to the start of practice. And Trinity's a great place to work, and I know you understand this a little bit now. Just watching everybody kind of get their feet beneath them and prepare for, what's coming has been fun. And we've had a nice rhythm to each week so far.
That's awesome. Well, man, I just want to thank you first for so much for doing this, coming on Talking Hoops with me. Coach Rock had just nothing but the best things to say about you, and I'm a big fan of his. So to me, it just seemed like a no-brainer to make this happen.
Well, I'm grateful for the opportunity, man. I look forward to speaking with you guys as well.
I'd love to start off with the first one, which is the best thing that you borrowed lately, but I do want to say I love the response back in the email of that you've stolen it and you're not giving it back. And I think I completely understand that feeling, but what is that best thing?
I've been lucky lately with Coach Rock coming to Trinity, and then my younger son, Chase, jumping over to a new school this year. I've had two really good coaches in my backyard that I've had the pleasure of observing and learning from. And so Marwan, actually, they're taking a bit different route than we are with the preseason 8 practice thing. And so they've been out there doing some real stuff already. and I've had the pleasure of watching them. He does a lot of really good stuff, but the thing that I think we'll definitely take and use is a 12-second shot clock transition drill that, really allows your team to be aggressive offensively, but also really requires attention to detail with your transition defense. And I just thought it was a great model for differentiating how we practice those things, because everybody has drills for all the things, and learning a way to get the same work done, but with a little bit different, vehicle for our girls for sure. Like it's great to be able to diversify the drill work. So definitely taking Marwan's transition drill. And then my younger boy Chase, he's playing in a new program, and part of their pre-practice is a utilization of the 3-man weave that I've never really seen before in all my years. Just a little more accountability. They take it to a couple different layers. So it's phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. I think that's going to be something that we implement this year for sure with our girls, and just pre-practice stuff. But man, if you can rehearse really good habits in the things
Yeah.
that you use to warm up, I mean, you just kind of make that much more progress when you're in your practice time. So those are the two things, and from two coaches that I'm developing a tremendous amount of respect for too. So yeah, those are
Man,
them.
if you would have asked me to go ahead and guess what the thing would be that you would share as the thing you'd borrow, a version of three-man weave, I don't think that would have been on it. But
Oh,
that's the amazing thing is there are some just those staples that we've all done, we all know, but then, man, is there a way to keep it fresh, a way to enhance it? I think that's always a good idea. And then can you explain a little bit the 12-second shot clock and
yeah.
how he's using that?
Yeah, so it's a 4-team drill. So if you've got a lot of guys, you can do it 5-on-5-on-5-on-5. If you need to go fours, I think you're going to accomplish the same thing.
With more
But
space,
there's a
probably
team.
even see some better attacks. Yeah.
Oh, no question. Cover a little bit more ground, fewer
Yeah.
people. But there's a team on the baseline waiting at each end. So you got 2 teams on either baseline, and they're basically in charge of, as soon as the ball goes in, whether it happens at your end or my end, that team is getting it out of the net and pushing as fast as they can. And the team that scored has to respond to that thrust of transition offense and recover and try to make a game of it. So you play live until somebody scores, and then that bucket turns into immediate transition defense. And, he and I chatted about it because I had questions immediately after I watched it in practice. And I mentioned to him, like, one thing I noticed is the dudes got real nervous with like 8 seconds left. And I'm like, yo, that's a lot of time. We can take this and really
Yeah.
apply some poise under pressure, because yeah, it's a great transition drill, but also like recognize that, man, 8 seconds is a long time. 3 seconds is a long time. You can get a pass off, you can get a dribble off. Like, don't panic and play fast just because you're in a short clock situation. Actually use it to your advantage and be smart and stay under control. Make that one extra pass, even though there's 2 seconds left on the shot clock, and don't feel pressure, because we all do that defensively. We want to use the clock as our sixth defender. So if I can tell early in the game that you're feeling pressure when you get under 10 or you get under 5, like, that's an advantage for us. So I would take, obviously, the transition components from it, but maybe the bigger gift in that drill is getting your team to recognize that they can stay under control up until that buzzer goes off, and there's always an offensive rebound. There's always transition defense if you don't get the shot you want. But yeah, I just thought it was really great. And I liked, this is a credit to their team, but the players, they were buying into that. The effort was real. They were really trying. They weren't trying to cheat the drill. They weren't trying to come up with ways to sabotage the drill. They were
Yeah.
just wholeheartedly in for what the drill was supposed to provide them. And it was great, man. You play first team to 10, and you could do it first team to win 3. You could do it one
Yeah.
time a day. You could do it once a week. But it's just another really good way to teach those fundamentals of both transition offense and transition defense. But really, it's a drill it's like a player that can play multiple positions. Like, those players are just a little more valuable to you if you can throw them in at the 2 through 4 than if they just play the 1. That drill has that same versatility. Like, you can leverage that drill for a lot of really good ingredients to help your team improve.
Yeah, I love it. And I have just recently purchased a makeshift shot clock because unfortunately in high schools in Texas, we don't, except for SBC schools, they have a shot clock, but UIL and TAPS still don't. But bought a little 15-second one that I'll just have up on a stand because, like, it's kind of like, man, you go back 15 to 20 years, and if you were playing fast and utilizing the 3-point line, you're pretty special in wanting to play in transition. I think
Yeah.
now it's almost like anybody gets a new job, they say, we're going to have a great culture. We're going to play fast, and of course discipline. Those are the
Yeah.
three things. But we do want to play in transition more. Like let's get more against 5-on-4, 5-on-3, 4-on-3, because 5-on-5 neutral is really hard. I don't care
Yeah.
what level you play at,
For sure.
and so when we talk about racing, racing is playing fast to the point where defense is retreating and disorganized. But like just telling, I'm at a brand new school, so just telling them, hey, we're going to play fast, man, it's almost like shot selection. That's a very different thing to each player. And you ask your team, what's the 10 on the shot selection scale? You'll get 4 or 5 different answers. So shot
No doubt.
selections has to be specific, but I think so does racing or playing fast. And nothing makes them understand really the speed like a time component like that. And I know what was happening in those first few games is a lot of contested buzzer beater type jump shots.
For
But
sure.
if they would rewind the film, they would see, golly, we actually had a wide open look that we didn't take because we weren't shot ready, or we didn't even peek at the rim or think score that quick. So I think there's a lot of fun things that come from that. But without the timer on it, then fatigue's going to set in, and or they're just not going to get to that pace that you really want. I love that.
Yeah, no, it's great, man. And you touched on something that is quite possibly the greatest teacher of all, and that's, being able to go back and watch the clips, watch the film. You do the drill. Back in the day, we had to be smart enough and fast enough to recognize what was good or bad about the drill. Now, I'm not even 10 minutes post practice, and we have play site film from that day's work that we can start reviewing. And yeah, I mean, that's really where the magic happens, when you can go back day after and say, all right, here's what we learned in transition, both offensively and defensively. And, again, benefit of being at Trinity, we have incredibly intelligent people that play sports there. So when you show them a competitive advantage, they learn it. So yeah, no, it's a big time little pickup for us. And I think our players will appreciate not having to do the same drills that they're used to doing. But yeah, no, definitely a layered situation with a lot of really good stuff in there.
And the 4-on-4 component is interesting too, because one issue with like a version that I used to do is we called it a 15-second game. And you start in the half court, and the team with the ball is actually not the team that game is for. It's the defensive team. And so I'd have a manager or a coach or a hurt player on the clock with 15 seconds ready to push it as soon as the other team leather touch their fingertips where their time begins. But then
Yeah.
you have to kind of slow down to reset the game. And then if you're only doing it with 2 teams, there is that fatigue factor that you almost have to coach them up to give them a little bit of a break, because even though we
Sure.
want to have our legs, there's natural stops to the game. It just rarely goes. But that game 4-on-4, you're getting rest, you're getting maximum speed, and then probably the most fun possession would be the one where on a made basket, that transition defense that team has to use, because the other 4 or 5 are blitzing them from
Oh, yeah.
straight down the lane. Take any, used to call it hump it, transition defense drill. And Coach Bliss would say that, and all of us college kids would smirk. Hump
Yeah,
it.
of
He said
course.
hump, but get over the hump, right? And I understand what he was trying to say, but I think this is even a better version of that, because inevitably a team would race slow in that transition drill. You roll it to the baseline, that guy touches, it's a 5-on-4 with a chaser.
Oh,
But
yeah.
if a team doesn't really race or pursue the paint and look to be aggressive, well, the better team is going to win out in that drill. You're not really preparing against dynamic guards or teams that do want to push that pace. So again, just celebrating the game, definitely borrowing it with our
Yeah.
brand new little shot clock. Hopefully that helps.
Listen, I think it's a huge win. Huge win. I mean, I say it a lot, like, there's so much out there every single day if you just open your eyes and put a little time into
Yeah.
it. Like, we have so many resources to learn now. We got a young group. I'm really excited about them. I wanna be able to do my very best for them, and stealing stuff and learning things from other coaches, like, the continued education of this business is never ending. So, yeah, I'm super grateful to have already stolen that. I'm sure there'll be others along the way. But I can't wait to see how the players take that one and use it for their benefit.
And you're right on the money there and that's a major reason for this podcast and is if no one ever listens to this, only my mom, as my number one subscriber, then that's okay because I get to have this time with you, holding you captive. And so
Yep,
even if people aren't doing it for, the podcast's purpose, man, make the time within your city. Like I'm in Waco, Texas, but obviously Baylor's right down the road. So
yep,
access there, but there's two programs there. So often I only think about the one, but the
yeah,
Baylor women's coach is darn good. And then
no
you go
doubt.
down the road either way. You got junior colleges, you got D3s, and in San Antonio, it's the same thing. So like
Yep,
we need to venture outside and then also go to other high school practices and see what those guys are doing. I just was
you
at
bet.
East Texas Coaches Clinic and got to connect with or watch a guy from Paris High School, and I just thought, man, like this is good. Like I need to go and watch his practice. And so I think you nailed on something there. Of nothing is secret, but sometimes I think we need to be aggressive with making it happen, working with people.
Dude, no doubt. Hunt and gather. It's just a great skill to have. And I mean, I reinforce that with my two sons every single day. Like, don't just get on Amazon Prime and sit at home and let people bring things to you. Like, you got to get out there and get your fingernails dirty. And there's a lot of benefits to being that way. So we definitely agree on that.
Man, this is your 14th season at Trinity, is that correct? And
Yes.
what an incredible career that you've had there. I mean, just from an outward success, which is the wins and losses,
Yep.
man, 800 win percentage. But I would imagine just from getting to talk to you a little bit here, for you, it's way beyond that. And what's something that makes your program different?
Man, this is unintentional, to be honest with you. I think it's more just my personality, but there's so many things that kind of separate us. Like, first and foremost, being like a very mature recognition of what the Division III model is supposed to be. Obviously, I love basketball. This is what I do all day long, every day. But it's not necessarily why you go to a Division III school. So I want every single recruit that comes to our office to understand, like, I can guarantee you that the basketball experience is going to be good, but I need you to come to Trinity, and I need you to squeeze every minute of these 4 years so that you get a comprehensive college experience, because that's what Trinity can provide for you. Whether it's internships or sororities or double majors or multiple sports. Like, don't think that you have to come here and just focus on basketball every single day. Like, you need to do basketball and love basketball the way that you do, but you can't love it so much and do so much just with the game that you miss out on some of these awesome opportunities that you're going to have, because college goes fast, man. And before you know it, like, it's in the rear view. And so, I think not obsessing over how much or how little our players are doing in the preseason or the postseason, but like appreciating that they're well-rounded young women and that they want to have a real comprehensive college experience. And the other thing, man, is just recruiting in general. We just don't follow the popular culture trends of literally any of it. Our recruiting visits are super basic. Like, if we like you, we want to get you on campus. So we want you to come, and we trust admissions to tell their story better than we do. So we put them in the admissions tour. Once that's over, we meet up with them and we give them the facilities tour. And then really the most important part of our recruiting process is shutting the door in the office and having like a real Q&A session with the coaching staff, where it's like, all right, like, I can put you in a uniform and we can do a photo shoot and I can throw all this extra stuff on to confuse you, but I really want you to walk out of this office feeling comfortable with what it would really be like to play in this program. So, that's not for everyone. And I'm definitely not knocking the cool things that people do for recruits and the way they make those recruits feel special and all that stuff. I just think for us, our process has created an incredible filter Like, if you don't like how we do it, you probably shouldn't come to Trinity. And if you do like how we do it, it's probably going to be a great fit because we kind of have some of the same values. Like, we can always take photos when you're playing here in the uniform during a game.
You're
But why
you're
would you
gonna
want
do that at some point. Like, we have a
correct?
media guide, we have a social media platform, that's gonna be done, but yeah,
Right.
keep going.
No, but I mean, that's just, I think that's a big part of it nowadays, man, is like what we kind of hold as our priorities in the recruiting process kind of sets the table for the relationship throughout the whole career. And
Yeah.
if you leave Trinity and you're like, man, I didn't get an offer right away, or I didn't get to take a picture, I didn't put the uniform on, and that's why you don't come to Trinity, then you're making the right decision, 100%. If the opposite happens, then you're making the right decision. And we talk about it a lot, man. We choose each other. Division III is different. I don't have an NIL budget, and I don't have scholarships to throw at people. Like, this has to be a relationship where we say you can play here, and you say, yeah, I want to play here. So we very much in tune with that dynamic as well. But I
Yeah.
think there's just a lot of little things like that, Matt, that are just different about how we operate that don't resonate necessarily with other programs that we compete with.
I love that. I was trying to think so much of, especially with my son going through the recruiting process this last year, and D3 being the level that loved him back. I
Yep.
heard that at a camp one time, a junior college coach talking about to players and parents that you've got to figure out the level that loves you and you got to find a way to love it back. And I
Hmm.
was really proud of Landon that he did that. Never had this idea of, oh, I want higher. Well, maybe he wanted higher, but he was very okay with, man, I can't. These 6 or 7 schools are actually talking to me, and we're reinforcing that to him, like, "Buddy, you're part of that really small percentage that they're actually talking to you. Like, this is real. This isn't a letter that came to our school." I joke around with it. I got a letter from LSU football years ago at Grapevine Faith. I was, like, 35 years old, and I told the guys, like, "Look, man, LSU football wants me." Like, that's kind of really what those letters I'm sorry,
Yep.
kind of what they mean, but
Yep.
I was trying to think of what schools like you, what do you do to not get caught up in that, I don't know, the traffic or the path that I feel like so many schools are on, which is they're just telling them everything that they want to hear and hoping that a couple of them come their way. Like I just can't imagine the heartache of, oh man, we gave them everything and they didn't choose us. And how do you what's that process like? Steve Gomez out at Lubbock Christian told me, he said on this recruiting with when the girls come, he said first thing I tell them is you're not that important. And when he said that, I just kind of stopped like, "Man, how do you do that? Like, how do you tell them that?" But it was the kind of like you said, we are choosing them, but they got to understand what they're choosing with us. Does that help with your retention rate from year to year since you're kind of getting players that really want you and want the
Yeah.
whole Trinity experience?
Yeah, I think that really you just nailed it, man. Because that's what it's hard to even talk anymore without worrying about like who you might upset, and I don't want to do that at all. But like that should be the goal. Is not getting the kid as a freshman; it's watching him graduate as a senior,
Yeah.
and being able to provide them with a basketball experience and an academics experience that they are happy enough with to not leave. And that's incredibly difficult nowadays, especially with like everything that everyone knows is going on. And I don't even like to talk about it because everyone's an expert. And I promise you, I know nothing. Like I can't figure it out. I don't know, I don't know how to generate NIL money. I don't know even what the transfer portal rules are, but I try to do it. I try to do my best. But at the end of the day, like we want to attract people to Trinity that recognize the overall value of the collective experience. And if we can do that, I think we up our percentage of retention. And I think we up the realistic approach that these kids are bringing to being a part of our program, where like they also look at it as a 4-year commitment, not like if I don't start as a freshman, I'm going to transfer as a sophomore. It's like, man, look, we haven't accomplished what we've accomplished at Trinity because we're recruiting studs in every freshman class. This is a growth process. You learn every single year you're in the program, and you could be really good, but that doesn't mean you can't improve. I don't know about the "you're not important" messaging right out of the gate. I mean, we don't necessarily go down that road, but it's understand the point of like Listen, recruiting,
This isn't about you, and that's kind of like what I if you want this to be all about you, then this probably isn't the place because it's gonna be
yeah,
about all of us. It's just
no doubt.
it's a very direct message for sure.
Yeah. But there's so many people that are trying to play this game now and thinking that there's only one and this is the kid we have to have. And if we
Yeah,
don't get her or him, we can't be successful. It's like, man, listen, just go back to the lumber yard. There's a whole stack of 2x4s. And just because you didn't get the one that you thought you needed, there's 100 more just like it. You just got to figure out, okay, we got a pretty long list of filters that can either create the opportunity or ruin the opportunity at Trinity. And the two main ones are finances and academics. If you don't have the grades, you can't come. And if we can't figure a way to make the finances work, that's a deal breaker also. So once you get past those things, then we have a real conversation about like, all right, what are you trying to accomplish? And are we the best fit for you? And I stopped taking recruiting personally before I even got to Trinity. My time on the other side of things taught me that if you're out there living and dying with every single recruit that you're trying to get to go where you are, you're going to keep it in perspective and trust the work and know that at the end of the day, man, the right people tend to find each other. And I believe in that. And I got a lot
yeah.
of evidence over the 14 years I've been at Trinity that that's true. So yeah, those are some roundabout ways. I think our program is different, but yeah, it's cool to have the flexibility to do it the way that we do it.
I it made me think a little bit about my time at Grapevine Faith Christian School, and when I tell high school coaches that in my 12 years I never recruited anybody, they kinda roll their eyes or they don't believe it, but it is the truth because kind of like what you said, like, I always felt like there were 3 things at Faith that had nothing to do with basketball that had to line up before they even came in the door. It was they had to be a believer, like be able to sit in front of a pastor and explain your faith. As a high school kid, that's hard,
That's tough.
even if you are one. And then financially, we don't scholarship. And then you got to be an honor student. So with those 3 things, yeah, I just had to start trusting that God was going to bring the right people into the gym and that I was just going to coach up whoever was there. Now, a little different, like I said, from your level, because yeah, you do need to bring them in for the basketball, but there's still those other things that have to line up. You just even in our 27 minutes, and I don't know how else to say this, but coach, I feel like you have like a unique presence. It's a confidence that I feel like you really know who you are and what you're looking for. And not that when I talk to the other coaches, they don't have that, but I don't know. I get that. Do you feel like your ability to kind of that self-awareness you have of what you're looking for, the kind of program that you want to build, does that help you through this whole craziness of recruiting in that world?
Absolutely, man. The first thing that I feel when somebody commits to our program is responsibility. It's like, it's not, oh man, that's a 20 and 10 kid, or we can win 20 games with them. It's like, all right, now I got to walk the walk. Like I told that family that she would be taken care of. And one way or another, I'm going to make
Mm,
sure that that happens. So that responsibility piece is very important. And I think it's a great balancer to when we get going on the, what are we going to run or who's going to start or whatever. It's like, at the end of the day, take a deep breath and recognize your main job is a service. You're in a service industry as a head coach. And I always want to make sure that I'm providing that service at the highest level possible. And, that's a lot of credit to Trinity for being the school that gave me the opportunity to exercise these things. And Trinity does a lot to attract the kind of people that anyone would want to coach. Just high character, high achieving, high quality people. It's just a hard school to get into otherwise. So, yeah, I appreciate the kind words, man. And it's like, the other thing is I went there, I couldn't love my boss more, and I have a tremendous amount of pride for representing the school as a whole. So I really do believe in what I'm telling you. When it comes to Trinity, when it comes to the program, when it comes to the overall experience, I'm not someone that took a job somewhere where I've never been before and I'm trying to learn it. I graduated from Trinity. I've done it. I raised my children there. I really, really believe it. So if we're talking and you're asking the right questions, I'm going to give you the truth. And when those things kind of collide, then you get the type of players that you can go really do great things with. So, I mean, that to me is really what it's been about.
I appreciate you sharing about that responsibility that you feel. And I feel like I don't care what level you're at, we all should acknowledge that. And I jotted down, be careful what you promise. I can't imagine in these recruiting visits how easy it would be just to say things. And
Yeah.
I was thinking back, my first college coach was Dave Bliss, and on my visit, man, he talked to my mom and I about how he was going to take us golfing because that's where business is done, and he was going to teach us how to be leaders out in the community, and golf is the way. 0 golfing trips with them. And we always thought about that. And, it's a super small thing. I don't think he ever really remembered even saying it. But for 3 years playing for him, in the back of my mind was, can I trust this dude?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I did trust him because that's what I was taught to do,
Sure.
but promised something and
Yep.
didn't deliver on it, never even came close to it. So, like, I have my first parent meeting at Midway tomorrow evening,
Yep.
and I have my script and everything, but I need to go back through it again and kind of like you said, outline my excitement, what I believe is possible, and set standards and foundation, vision, but then also under promise so that my coaches and I can over deliver. And
Yeah.
especially in the realm of development and in the realm of caring about their son, because
Absolutely.
don't know how much we're going to win right now. No
Right.
clue. And
Sure.
we're going to do our very, very best on those nights. And we're going to try to play with some pace. And we're going to shoot with courage, coach. I know that for sure. Don't know if we'll go in, but
All right.
that
Believe in it.
responsibility you're talking about, we can't miss that.
It's a big one. It's a big one. You've crossed that bridge already with Landon being with us, and I'm on the verge of it myself. And those things matter to me. They really do. I want to be able to know that I don't have to trust them 100%, but I need to know that I can count on them to be the type of example I want for my sons, and it's not easy in the way that the world is now with recruiting and all the things, certainly at the higher levels. So I know it's a tall order, but at the same time, like, somewhere in the back of my mind, those 2 boys are gonna have what I envision as being an incredible college basketball experience. Maybe it's for 1 year, maybe it's for 4,
Yeah.
but I really wanna do my best to put them in a position to feel that. Because, man, when you go through it and you have a locker room you can count on and you have a coaching staff that you don't have to like them every day, but you know that they're doing their work with your best interest at heart, like, those little things go so far in terms of the kid's overall experience. And I just we make that a priority at Trinity, and I'm trying to find it at a few other places too.
I think that kind of locker room you're talking about allows you to overachieve. And I'm not saying that's what you've done every year in the last 13, but with the success that you have, do you feel like creating that type of environment has allowed you to? And I think potential is probably one of the worst words out there if it's not realized
Mm.
because it means failure. We had potential, we didn't meet it all the way as a team. And sometimes grades, injuries, those are grades maybe you can't control. Injuries, can't always control that. And so you kind of tip your hat on those years. But do you feel like that allows your teams to overachieve when you create that?
No doubt. And that's such an interesting way to put it. you know Achieving anything, overachieving, underachieving, like, I think that there has to be a process to whatever those accomplishments are. And that's where we really concentrate, man. We did a deep dive for a TABC talk a few years back. And, one of the things we did a comparison on were the game minutes in contrast to the practice minutes over the course of a season, and which minutes matter more. And this is the counterintuitive part of coaching in life, really. Like, oh man, everybody puts such a high emphasis on the game minutes. But in reality, it's 1/3 of the amount of time that you spend doing this throughout the year. And so, like, learn to love the practice minutes. Learn to love that, if you don't play in the game, I promise you every single day in practice, every player on our team gets reps. They get 5-on-5 reps, they get shooting, they get
Yeah.
everything. Then you have to say, okay, I'm in my workshop. What am I doing with my time in my workshop? Am I actually trying to put some things together? Am I focused on the right things? Am I trying to get better at things that aren't going to help me play, but I think they'll help me play? Versus, am I getting better at the things that I can do to help this team? So it's like, recognizing the value of practice time and the opportunity of game time, to me, is a big distinction that you need to be able to get your players to understand. And if you can get them into the mentality where they attack practice with that kind of competitive enthusiasm, yeah, man, you can be way less talented or undermanned and you can win. And you can also have all the horses in the stable and you can crush people. And I don't have a problem doing that either. It's like when it comes time to go out there and play, look, man, it's a zero-sum game for us. We're going to do exactly what we do to the best of our ability. And if that means we win by 100, that's just what happens. If it means we lose by 10, we take those too. But there's really no off button when it comes to what we want our basketball product to look like when we do it the way we believe it should be done. So yeah, it's a good question, and I like the way you phrased it. And I think it's again, go back to the responsibility piece, but it's our job to put him in a position to overachieve for sure.
And you had a great nugget about development and how you try to connect with players of really where development happens. I always, and with this parent meeting in mind, and also trying to help connect to high school coaches where I feel like we obviously have to create the vision for our players, but I think we need to connect it for our parents or try to the best we can. Because at the high school level, way more parent involvement and connection than when we're going to talk to Landon later tonight and ask him how his week is going, but that's it. Coach
Yeah.
Rock is not going to hear from us. It's just not,
Yeah.
we're not going to be those, we will not be those parents. But I'm thinking about I've always tried to tell parents and players that don't equate development with playing time, because they're viewing the 32 minutes. And I love the math that you did. If it truly is a third and man, maybe even way less than that, right?
Could be.
Because
Yeah.
we're going to go 6 days a week, play 2 games a week for 4.5 months. Development, going back to what we can't promise you playing time, but we can promise you development. And if they'll never get it right, coach, all the way. They're not 100% of your parents can be like, okay, never going to ask you about playing time because of what you told us about development. But
Right.
what if we can just help connect a little bit more to, you don't have to be happy about the way playing time is going, but at least he still is being developed.
You bet. And one of the things that helps the most with those conversations is winning. Because if you're winning, it's a hard conversation to have. Like, look, man, why isn't my kid playing more? Or even if it's the player, like, coach, what can I do to play more? And sometimes the answer is like, you're just not going to get better than her. She's a senior. She's an All-American. She's going to play 25, 30 minutes a game. But if you learn from her, if you take this opportunity to not be upset that you're not playing, but look at what your potential could be for the following year, and do what you can for us now. I think those are the things that I think when you really get rolling with continued success, it's because your players recognize, okay, I see the value in what my role is this year, and I recognize her ability, and I want to learn from that. And I'm not going to fight City Hall because I want more minutes. I'm gonna look at what the opportunity is in front of me every day in practice, and I'm going to take advantage of that. The players that have done that for us have become incredible contributors, first team all conference players. They just do. But sometimes it's just not on their clock. And that's okay. 4 years does go fast, but it's also a long time when you look at what your growth potential is within those 4 years. So yeah, the coach and parent conversations don't happen as much in college, which is nice. But every once in a while you do need to, and I like to listen. I really do, man. I don't have a problem listening to their concerns and answering their questions. They got to have some patience when I come back with, statistical analysis and film to show them why. But, it's not a bad problem to have kids that want to do more.
Great nuggets right there about those parent meetings, or even like in your case, player meetings, but at the high school level, it's going to be definitely the parents are there. It's nice when the player's there. When all the stakeholders are present, I feel like we can really get through the weeds or the he said or she said, and let's just all talk truth to each other. We're all sitting right here. But there's 2 things I think that you nailed. First is transparency.
You
Don't
bet.
be afraid to say the hard things. And sometimes the truth is when that player says, Coach, what can I do to earn more playing time? Honestly, nothing right now because you're not doing anything wrong. You're
Right.
working your tail off. You show up
Right.
every day. You have a great attitude. You are just, as far as skill goes, that helps us win on a Tuesday and Friday. You're behind right now. It doesn't have to stay that way. Continue to work. And none of us can predict the future of what things go. But I feel like that's a hard uh, statement sometimes for us to make because one, as coaches, I feel like we want to be fixers. We want to, or we want to be able to give the answer that really helps them to understand and, or, keeps them working hard, inspires them, and telling them that you know what, not much right now. It's January. We've played 15, 20 games. We practiced a ton. Feel like I know who you are as a player and how things are flowing with our team. But they may not like it in the moment, but the transparency, I feel like at the end of the day, is always appreciated and respected.
Absolutely. And even when it's not, like, you can rest easy knowing that you gave him the real stuff, man.
Peace
Like, you
of
didn't
mind.
hide from it. Yeah,
Yeah.
you didn't sugarcoat it. And I mean, I'm a velvet hammer guy. Like, I'm not a break your heart. I'm not a
Yeah.
go for the jugular type of dude. When we have these conversations, I'm compassionate in the delivery of the real truth. And it's yeah, I don't want you to be discouraged. I don't want you to feel undervalued at all. But it's hard to make players understand, like, a competitive drill on Wednesday wins us games on Friday. If you don't get to make the shot or you don't get to make the pass or you don't get the stop, yeah, I get it. You maybe don't feel as connected to that, but I'm telling you with every ounce of being I have, without you in that Wednesday practice, we don't win. And that's hard math for kids to understand, but it's not hard for me. And it's not hard for us to reinforce those truths every day when we're going through our process. Like, you don't understand, man, how competitive this drill was in this practice right now. That's 2 wins this weekend. I'm telling you right now, 100%. And they'll nod their head and some of them will roll their eyes, but I'm at peace with it because I know that they really did have an influence on our success. So,
That's what they needed to hear. And you know what's funny, coach, is doing these talks. It's one of the hardest parts of this is sometimes I just start listening and I forget that I'm supposed to have a follow-up or that maybe there's a way that I can add on value because I just enjoy it. I enjoy listening. And but I think that that's a little bit of a habit that has helped me in parent meetings too, is listen to them. Let them start. If we're talking strategy here, I mean, maybe a good strategy is when they first sit down is to shower or not start with a compliment. If it's true, of just want to let you know how much I enjoy coaching your son. He works really hard, has a great attitude every day. Thankful that we get to have this time and talk. And I love to hear what's on your heart. It's not a lie, it's true, but man,
sure.
it's a nice way to start that meeting.
Yeah.
But because maybe if they're coming in hot, it just cools them off a little. But then just listen to them. I think, especially as a younger coach, I mean, I'm only 19 years in, so I don't want to act like I definitely don't have it all figured out. But
Sure.
I've been in a bunch of these. When I was younger, I had my responses. I was primed. In fact, I'd cut them off and or I'd even preemptively just, I know what this is about, so I'm going to shut it down. And what a horrible way to do it. Like, listen to them. And you know what? Who was it that said? Jordan Peterson said, you got to assume that everybody that you're talking to or sitting across from can teach you something. So maybe a little dose of humility, that parent or that player, they can teach you something. And so listen to them. And what I've noticed over time, and probably the same way, coach, with you when a player comes in who's a little disgruntled, is once they just want to be heard. And once they are, things cool down. And it usually works out pretty well, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I think another thing for you and I is the the growth of our own kids. My temperament in those meetings has changed as I've gotten to a point where my kids are having those
Good
meetings
point.
to be
Yep.
I need to be as open to this as I would want the coach to be if my kid was sitting across from him. So that in all kinds of ways in my life has helped me a ton. Just thinking about what my children's what their reaction would be to how I handled that if they were sitting where that kid is. And so, but we're pretty lucky, man. Like, we keep an open door, and I know that's like coach speak, but it's just true. the players come in, they pop in our office, they spend time with us. You know, we have really good ongoing dialogue within the program. And, you know, I know where that line is between what I need to know and what I definitely never want to know. I think the trust that we're able to experience in our program is a result of that. Like, they know that they can count on me to do what my job is. And I know that if I do my job, then they're gonna learn how to also let me trust them. You know, like, they're going to come to practice and work hard. They're going to come to the player meetings with an open mind. They're going to listen to what we're trying to do. They're going to recognize, because again, go back to the smart kid thing. You know, they're not, some of them have delusions of grandeur, but really a lot of them are really self-aware and they understand. And sometimes they just want a little direction of, you know, Trinity kids, if they get a B plus, they want an A minus. And I'm like, bro, I'll take a C plus. Like, what are you complaining about? Like, what are we doing? But I don't have a problem trying to get them over the hump for what they have in their internal grade card of how did I impact the team. But those are great conversations, not always easy, but definitely I'd rather have somebody that's willing to ask them than having somebody that, you know, resents the heck out of you and lets that fester and ultimately becomes a problem in practice.
And I think those players in those moments too, they just want to know that you believe in them in some way, that you believe in them. May not that you may not believe that they can score 30 or 40, but that you believe, like you said, what you're doing in our Wednesday practice is going to help us on Friday. You're giving them purpose. And I was just watching a video with Doug Collins, and he's talking about Michael Jordan when he was playing for the Wizards. And Jordan, they were down 30 with a few minutes left, and Doug Collins took him out. And Jordan was so mad. And this is 41-year-old Jordan, so mad at him. And he says, "Why did you take me out? Do you still believe I can play or not? Do you still believe in me?" Like, this is Michael Jordan asking Doug Collins. And Doug Collins said, "Yeah, I believe in you." He said, "Then don't take me out. Let me continue to play," because he wasn't necessarily playing his best. The next night, he goes for 51 as a 41-year-old, and the next game after that, 26. And then Doug Collins asked him, he said, "What's gotten into you? I mean, the last couple games, you've just been incredible." He's like, "I just needed to know that you still believed I could do this." Like,
Yeah.
if Michael Jordan
Yeah.
needs that as a player after everything he's done, our
No
high
doubt.
schoolers and our college kids need to know that we believe in them.
Yeah. It's good even if you believe they're going to be a great accountant one day. Like, believe in them. You may not be a 30-point scorer at Trinity, but you're going to learn things in this program going through this process that are going to become building blocks for you wherever you go. You're a accounting major, you're a pre-med, you're an engineer, whatever. It's like these things are, everybody does the life thing, like here in coaching and in life and all that stuff. But it's just like there's fundamental building blocks to anything. And the things that we learn in competitive sports, the things that we learn being a part of a team,
Yeah.
man, they're transferable skills. And most of the kids at Trinity are going to go on to do things that make a difference. And the lessons that they learn in our program will be a big advantage for them when they get there. So,
The JAMODI Podcast is powered by Sideline Interactive. Sideline Interactive is the leading manufacturer for high-quality, innovative scoring tables and LED video display boards that help coaches and schools bring more excitement to fans, create huge fundraising opportunities, and make their jobs easier. Visit sidelineinteractive.com to check out their amazing products.
Started off today with talking about a 12-second shot clock transition drill, and I'm wondering if that has to do a little bit with your style of play and what you like to teach. So what does that look like?
you know, 30-second shot clock is awesome. You know, for us, we can teach offense in 10-second segments. So, you know, if you do your job defensively and you get a stop, no matter how you accomplish that, you know, the first 10 seconds of the shot clock is 100%. That's theirs. Like, whatever they do, I'm going to believe in it. That's your reward for buying into what we're trying to do defensively and getting stops. And, you know, shooting quick is going to generate more possessions. If we're capable of stealing the ball and we make some of those shots, we're going to create a big advantage for ourselves that way. So, you know, that's the one consistent thing from year to year with our program that's really never going to change. But once you get past that first 10 seconds, everything that we do, both offensively and defensively, is going to be a representation of what that team's capabilities are for that year.
Mm.
So But D3, man, you don't have the luxury of having a recruiting board with 1 through 5 on it and 10 kids under each one, and you start checking them off as they start signing other places. And the kid doesn't know any better, but if you're the ninth one that commits to Trinity, you're not probably going to play much, and we're going to recruit over you the next year. But sometimes, you end up with 5 of those, and so you're small. So you got to come up with a way to be effective when you're small. Sometimes you get lucky and you get a great post player, so you need to play in a way that, puts pressure on the defense below the foul line. Other times you have super athletic kids, so we're going to press you all over the court and try to score a bunch of points off of our defense. Honestly, man, even though it's not really real anymore, but the October 15th start date and the opportunity to really build a brand new team every single year have been the two things that have meant the most to me as a Division III coach, which is why I'm resistant to starting early, because I want October 15th to always be a special day for the players. I want them to know, like, okay, it's on now. And they get that runway to get their minds right for that day. And then, like I said, whether it's admission standards, finances, whatever it is, you just really never know from year to year who you're going to end up with. So when you finally get that team and you can look them in the eye and I can say, this is what I think we can be, we too get to go be brand new again. Like, I get to build an offense that has way more pick and roll, or I get to build an offense that has way more continuity. And we get to try to structure our defense to really leverage whatever skills our team has. Man, I'm telling you, man, there's just nothing better than feeling like every single year is the first year. Because really, every single year is the first year with that team. And I've grown by leaps and bounds as a coach by having that opportunity to repaint the picture on October 15th every single year. And dude, it's phenomenal. And so philosophically, yeah, I like to get stops and steal the ball as much as we can. And if I can get 70 shots and only give you 50, I think we should win. So that's really what it boils down to. How we do it doesn't matter. It's just create that advantage one way or another, limit the good shots they get, try to get as many easy buckets as we can, and have fun hooping. Like, really, go have fun hooping.
You keep it pretty simple, which I imagine would allow them for quicker buy-in, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, all of our defenses fundamentally come back to the same principles. So what looks like a full court press is also a 2-3 zone, is also our quarter-court man-to-man. It's like perception is reality. But if you can just get them to do the little things defensively the right way, and you can give that a couple different faces, yeah, you can change the complexion of a game pretty quickly. You can change what the other team is able to do or what they think they're able to do pretty quickly. So, yeah, I mean, you don't need a PhD before you come to Trinity to play in our program. You just need to really love the game, and you need to be a competitor. And if you have those two qualities, man, we can win with you for sure.
Interesting way to look at your program, which has done amazing things, but and I'm not saying you don't view it as a program, but you're talking about how exciting it is to build a brand new team every year, and it makes me think of a little bit of like Baylor has 0 players returning from last year's team. Coach Greg Campy from Oakland, I asked him, I was like, Coach, what's it like to build a program for 40 years? He's like, Matt, we're not doing that anymore. We're just building teams. We're not building a program. So this may be a weird question, but how much of you from year to year is program, and how much of it is that individual team, like you said, offensively, whatever we need to do that fits us?
Dude, what a great question. Like, for us, the program lives in the locker room. The program is embedded in the culture of how our players handle their business. But what we do is brand new every year. So it's both. There's
Yeah.
a 14-year-old culture that has been built and developed and procured that lives in our locker room. But the benefit of being part of that culture is that every single year you get to play basketball a new way, somewhat new way, slightly different way with new teammates. And for them, man, there's a freshness to it as well. And yeah, we train hard and we work hard and we compete hard and do all of those things. But, if you can come in and see last year we didn't have a player, not really, but like if last year we didn't have a player over 6'1", and this year we have 2 players over 6'2", Like for our guards that get double teamed and trapped on pick and rolls, like they can't do that anymore. So now they see a brand new opportunity, and it's our job to play that way so that they can take advantage of that brand new opportunity. So the program is alive and well, and the program is absolutely a really big part of what we do. But the freshness and the newness and the new coat of paint that we can put on it from year to year is kind of the part of the appeal, I think, that helps us attract really good players.
I think that's a stretch for me is program. I love that, what you said, culture in the locker room and how that what you really want. We have 4 standards that live on no matter what, because they're just good standards for excellence on the floor, but excellence in life. But then the 5th standard, I allow the seniors to choose every year to have a little bit more of that ownership and buy-in. Like, what's a word that really matters to you that we can live by? Kind of that 5-fingered approach that Coach K talked about years ago. But then, Coach, where I struggle is I don't deviate much on the court from year to year, and
Yeah.
I can't recruit. So from year to year, there's just this, maybe we're going to be good at this or not. And I think still a stretch for me or a place to grow is to be more versatile, I think, like you, or the ability to recognize this worked for them, but we're different. And so what are some adjustments I can make? I know there's coaches out there that do that really well. Just don't know if I'm one of them.
I've been around this my entire life, man. Everything works. I mean, there's guys that run the same system all the time that have won national championships, and there's guys that try to reinvent themselves every single year that have also had tremendous success. I think the reason that appeals to me is because I really want to learn and I want to be capable as a coach of providing them the actual solution, not just a solution, but like the right one for that team. And so that's my driver in the process of like really trying to put the puzzle together from year to year is like, okay, I know this answer will work, but that's not the best answer for this team.
Yeah.
So how do I get to the best answer for this team? And I mean, dude, I don't always get I don't always get it right. There's plenty of times where we don't get the answer right at all, but it's a fun process, and it's one of the ways that I keep myself really, really focused on staying at the best I can be. Yeah, just no rear view mirror, man. You can win the national championship. When you get to practice on October 15th, nobody cares. It's like, what are you gonna do now? And so that's kind of another big part of how we look at it, man, is like it just doesn't matter. It really does matter, man. Your legacy and what you've done and your record and your resume and all those things, they do matter. That's the story that they tell. But in terms of what we do next, pick your pen out and write on that new sheet of paper. It's like you got to go build it again. So, yeah, there's lots of ways to do it, but that's kind of our process, and I really do enjoy it.
Confidence is one of those things that I think probably you can help your players with their confidence because of the relationships that you build with them, the way that you set up even from the recruiting process and telling them the truth, but then having those meetings throughout where you continue to have transparency with them. But what confidence does, you see it dipping in a player or even in a team throughout the year, which does happen at every level. How do you help them repair it or help build it up?
One of the best things for us, again, this is D3, is reminding them that this is all voluntary. No one has a contract that's beholden them to doing this every single day. You're here with us over Christmas break, playing in Las Vegas because you chose to be here. And if we're doing things with our life's minutes, we should enjoy them, and if you're not enjoying it, you shouldn't do it. And it's that simple, like if you recognize that A, this is a choice, B, you're pretty good at it, C, this is a small period of struggle during the course of a lot of really incredible accomplishments, embrace the challenge of it. And if you want to continue to do it, then do it to the best of your ability. I think for me, like, when players are having a tough day or they had a bunch of tests or maybe they stayed up a little too late and they come in and their energy's bad, every once in a while we'll remind them, like, we don't have that luxury as the coach. As the coach, like, if I came in and my energy was bad, I would literally be giving the whole day away. I have to always be ready to find the nugget of production. And we do this, man, like in practice. If the first couple minutes of practice are bad, we'll audible and we'll go to something where I know they are going to do something productive today. Like maybe we can't compete today. Maybe we just need to go straight to shooting drills. But if we go straight to shooting drills, no matter what, 2 or 3 kids are going to win those drills. And then we've made shots. So in my mind, like fourth quarter, we're going to be a more efficient shooting team. Today was a win, even though we didn't do anything that was on the practice plan. I think being open to surrendering and completely abandoning what you had as your personal agenda for the team
Yeah.
to give them something where you know that they can have success can inspire confidence in those times when things aren't going great. Yeah, not everyone can use the this is voluntary thing, but that's pretty powerful too, man. Like when they decide to take advantage of what they're volunteering to do, you know, the light bulb goes back on again. And a lot of times that'll help us recover.
I love that. I'm always looking for ways to help my players make the choice for them to truly want to do something because there's that route that we can all go. I kind of think of it's the dark side. It's easy. And what does he say? You don't underestimate the power of the dark side, right? Like, man, do this or get on the line. Do this or you will not play. Do this
Yeah,
or we will lose every game this year. Man, that's tempting sometimes. And it's
sure.
like, but I don't want to be that guy. And I want to be the transformational coach that, and not that sounds bad. I'm not saying that everybody does that isn't Bobby and I was transformational.
No
I
doubt.
believe that. You talk to anybody that played for him, they
Yep.
loved him, and it was more than basketball. So a lot of ways to do it, but I really do want them to make a choice. And Mono Watsa helped me with this. He's the president of PGC, and I was directing my very first session, which I wasn't planning on even doing anything that session. I was going to observe. Those dudes threw me in the fire. They know who they are, and it was really tough. And so I'm there, and I'm thinking of what Dick DiVenzio did as you know when I went to PGC growing up, and I'm doing my first lecture on breaking pressure, and it's 8 a.m. in the morning, and there's a dude asleep in the front. I said, "Hey, wake him up!" And, like I was fired up, like how in the world can you sleep? This is too good. And
Yeah.
Mono's sitting in the back, and he comes like, "Matt, I mean, how can we help him make the choice to wake up and stay awake?" I'm like, "I don't care about his choice. He just needs to do it. Like this
Yeah.
is too." I've been on that journey ever since that day of open gyms. Guys, this is optional. And I always do this like, I'm not winking. There's no coach speak, nothing passive aggressive. If you don't come to open gym, when I see you the next day at school, man, I'm going to be so happy to see you. And over the years, I've seen guys make the choice. What you talked about, you said 3 things. Remind them that this is voluntary. They don't have to do it. Remind them that they're good at it. They have been given gifts that some people would do anything for. Not to guilt them into that, but don't waste the gift that you've been given.
No
And
doubt.
then remind them that this is a small time. And for teenagers, every day, just everything right in front of them seems like the most important thing. You can tell by the pimples they have on their face. They feel like this is no one's ever going to talk to me again. And or the relationship they have is the one they're going to marry. It's just
Yeah.
so everything's so important to them. But
Yeah.
reminding them of all those 3 things, I think will help them to make the choice to be their very, very best that day. I wrote those 3 things down, and I think that's gonna help me a bunch.
Dude, I think finding ways to have logical conversations in illogical situations is a challenge, you know, especially when kids are emotional and they're frustrated, and simplifying things. And like I said, man, sometimes just kick the practice plan to the curb and do something that you know that they'll enjoy and that they can have success with, and let that kind of be the beginning of getting back to doing winning things. And, you know, they work, sometimes they don't work, but they're good practices for sure.
Man, that was a great nugget too that I wrote down. Make every practice a win. I've been I've been a part of these conversations with coaches of like, man, today wasn't great. And or even let's rate this practice, fellas. Man, that was probably a C, maybe a D, B minus. We're close to it. I think, coach, I've always just put that on the players. Like it's their fault because we show up the same way as coaches. We do our very, very best to be the same. It's their fault that we didn't have a great practice. But Extreme Ownership, great book by Jocko Willink, he talks about, man, if you're the one in charge, everything that happens is your fault.
Yes.
So I think I needed to hear that today with practice starting up in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
If the feeling is right now that this isn't going a good direction, don't just accept that and settle in that or chalk it up to, this is one of our C practices of the year. Figure out how to make it a win. Nobody
Yep.
says that you have to stick to that practice plan that you have
Yeah.
timed out completely and that is just so perfect. Change it. That's where I think it's science, some with analytics and time components to and quarter breakdown, whatever you want to do in your practice to get all the phases, right? Like
Yep.
there's science to that, but then there's art to the what's in your gut. What do you
Beautiful.
see? What do you
Yep.
feel right now? We want our players to play instinctual. I don't know if we necessarily coach that way sometimes.
Yep. Yep. Well said. I agree with you 100%.
I appreciate that because I just rambled and not sure everything I said, but
It's on film. We can watch it back. We can hit
that's
rewind.
fair. Before the speed round, I got one more question for you.
Yeah.
The You mentioned a few times in our talk about how you were at Trinity as a player, which is super cool. I would imagine to get to come back, but how your
Yeah.
players and or your family have kind of grown up and been a part of the program as well. So how have you balanced coaching and family life where I think if you would have acknowledged like across the world of coaching, that's probably one of the areas where we suffer or sometimes lose the most. So how have you done it?
Yeah. It's been lockstep from the very beginning. I mean, Trinity's been such a unique situation for me. The AD here was the AD when I played. I transferred to Trinity as a sophomore. I didn't go straight away. And so he and I developed a good relationship right away and maintained that relationship from graduation to ultimately me going back there to be the women's coach. But, he really does expect you to and trust you to do your job. And there's no micromanagement. So, where I get work done doesn't matter as long as I get work done. How, whatever it is, like if we're getting good players, our players are graduating from Trinity and we're winning games, like he will not interfere one bit. And yeah, man, I'm a two things, real private guy, and I'm extremely motivated to represent whatever it is I'm doing to the best of my ability. So, husband, dad, those two things are extremely important to me. Coach Cam, that's really important to me too. Don't have a problem being misunderstood at all. Like that's part of life, and I'm real comfortable with that. But being at Trinity from the time that my kids were in elementary school to both of them being on the verge of graduating from high school has been in no short fashion the greatest gift I've ever been given because I've been able to coach incredible people, work at an incredible institution that has given me unbelievable flexibility to be, a dad and a husband and be present in that whole process. And so, I grew up a coach's kid. I've seen, the rigors of what that can look like. And, for me to be able to coach, but also keep that priority as a top tier thing on a daily basis was, man, and it got worse as we went along. Like I figured it out that, man, I can do both really fast. And then it was just like, I don't know if I could ever leave here. Like I just can't
Mm,
leave here. This is too good. I gotta see this through at least until my kids get to college. And, the players have made that really easy too, because every time you recruit a new class to Trinity, you fall in love with them. So it's like, I
yeah.
don't know how I could say that I'm not going to see them through their career. Like I got to coach these kids till they graduate. Problem is that happens every single year.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, it's been unbelievable, man. Like I said, I don't explain that to too many people because it's hard to make it make sense. But for me and my household and my personal priorities, this has been an incredible fit. And a big reason why I think we've been successful is because I do have incredible work and life balance. So it's a beautiful thing.
Making the move from faith was hard, and I was there for 12 years. My son was in first grade there and all the way through, and kind of like you felt over the years, it was, I don't want Landon to be anywhere else. So even in Dallas Fort Worth, when some other jobs were opening up over the years, just never even entertained or even let myself look at those because I want him to be here. Well, then he graduates, and my wife and I did talk about if we were going to leave, what would it look like? And so there was a list of things, but then I had that feeling of, but these kids that I have right now, they're incredible. How do I lead them? Like, how do I look them in the eye, their parents in the eye? And I mean, some of them had been at Faith since kindergarten, and
Yeah.
I'd watched them all the way through. And then some came in high school, but it's still special. And Wes Watson, the head coach at McKinney High School, now at Lovejoy, but I worked for him for 5 years before Faith. He said, Matt, there's always going to be a class that you don't want to leave. There's always
Yep.
going to be kids that don't. And you and I are in very different positions with, my son graduating. It was kind of the natural time to look around if we were going to do that. And then did find something that checked everything in Midway High School, but I probably needed to hear that nugget from Coach Watson about, don't think that in 2 years when these kids graduate, it's just gonna be easy at that
Oh, yeah.
point. Mike Neighbors had a comment about with that question of how do you balance family and coaching life? He said, he just put his hands, he's like, "Don't try, just bring them together." And it kinda
Yeah.
seems like that's what you've done.
You bet. Yeah, my kids can hotwire golf carts at Trinity, and they know every great hiding place there is, man. So yeah, there's definitely a continuity of both of those things walking down the same road together. And dude, for the better part of my kids' lives, they've admired players that I've coached at Trinity. So they're primary role models for the game of basketball and how it should be played have been women's players that played Division III basketball. And
It's
I'm so
awesome.
grateful for that because
Yeah.
I mean, if you're gonna admire something, please do admire something that's being done the right way. And it's been an incredible blessing to be able to use the program and the way that we've coached and the way that we've done our thing there as almost like a kaleidoscope for Colin Chase to look through and see nothing but really good things about the game. So yeah, man, there's a lot that could be said about it, but Trinity deserves unbelievable praise from me for the opportunity that they've given me to do this, and they're definitely not taken for granted.
Last thing, coach, the
Yes, sir.
speed round. These are quick questions. First thing that pops in your head for all those
Let's go.
players that you've had, and maybe even your boys. Like let's see if they really know you after the
Yeah,
with these questions. All right,
yeah.
ready? Favorite ice cream flavor?
Cookies and cream.
Greatest shooter of all time. Let's go women's side first.
You're gonna expose me, man. Greatest female shooter of all time. I'm just going Cheryl Miller because she's near and dear to my heart, and I'm gonna give her credit for being the greatest female basketball everything of all time. So Cheryl and Steph. No, Steph and Cheryl. Yeah.
Do you stand up or sit down more during games?
I don't ever sit, haven't sat one time. In fact, when my assistant coach finally left, he got a job himself, and he thought at the time we'd end up playing each other a bunch, which hasn't worked out that way. But he's like, I just know, right about midway through the first quarter, you're going to be kicking our butt, and you're just going to sit down and you're going to look at me like you don't even need to stand anymore. But no, I got a
The
real,
first time.
real unique. I coach from the end of the bench. I stay all the way back so that I'm never in the team's way. And yeah, I never sit, always standing.
Man, do you mind sharing a little bit more about that? You say you're never in the team's way.
Yeah. I mean, they need to be present in the game, and
Yeah.
like I can do my work and I can concentrate and watch and kind of diagnose and make sure that I'm seeing everything without, being up front. I like the idea of the head coach kind of being at the back of the bench and making the priority the team and not being the show. I walk up there from time to time, but really my sweet spot is staying back there and not staying out of the way, but definitely not being the primary, at all times. I want the players to come off the bench. I want the staff to feel important. I want them to have the first touch when the kids come out of the game. And so for me, like that's, it's almost like the wolf that's, the last one instead of the first one, so that he can make sure that everybody's taken care of and no one gets left behind. That's not the analogy that I used to begin doing this, but that makes it make sense a little more. Kind
You
of
put
just
that picture up and you say, guys, see me back here? I'm
right,
that wolf.
right. No, never done that. But
But that's the first time I've heard that. That's pretty unique. I
yep,
like it. Top 3 dinner guests, any time period, can be outside of sports.
Colleen, Colin Chase, man, that'll never change. It's my family. That's it. Easy.
Best basketball movie of all time.
Man, funny story. My dad was an assistant coach for the Orlando Magic the year the Blue Chips came out, and we got to go to the premiere with Shaq and Penny, which is a heck of an experience. But I'm still gonna say Hoosiers. Jimmy Chitwood for the win.
Who's your dad?
My dad's Bob Hill. He NBA coach for a lot of years. Yeah.
I never knew
Yeah.
that. I
Yeah.
had you on here without even knowing that. I want
Oh,
you to
yeah.
know that this wasn't some way
No,
to
no.
kind of
That's
get
cool.
it.
That wouldn't have even come up if you didn't ask the basketball movie question. But, man, I'm like, that was right when Little Penny was coming out. It was a cool experience, man, and Blue Chips was good, but nowhere close to Hoosiers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I enjoyed the basketball more in Blue Chips, and because those
Yeah.
were real players, the same way
Oh,
that
yeah.
Hustle had the best basketball in it. Just
Yeah.
the story wasn't. I didn't get in the story, but
Yeah, I really like that too, though. You know, I like that movie. I'm a sucker for sports movies, so if a good sports film comes out, I'm definitely gonna see it. But yeah, hoop specific, I got
that's fair. For high school, shot clock or no shot clock?
shot clock 100%. Mainly to just, get guys to stop holding the ball. Like nobody wins when you do that. And I get it, man. It's chess. So you got to do what you got to do. And it's a strategy that's allowed
Yeah.
and it's a strategy that you got to use. But man, it just doesn't help the game in any way. And, kids and parents and fans and the game of basketball wasn't invented to be standing still, holding the ball at half court. So if for no other reason, the shot clock would disallow people to do that to the extent that they do now. So I think that'd be a definite shot clock for sure.
Parents didn't pay $5 to do that, and I do let our players know. Like, I don't know how many people are going to be out there, especially at Grapevine Faith. Sometimes we didn't have big crowds, but
Yeah.
I did tell them, like, there's people that paid money to watch us play. So let's shoot with courage. Let's
Yeah.
play. Let's play with passion, because and there's a little bit of, like Pistol Pete said, when that horrible. It's a great movie. It's probably on my top 5. Pistol Pete, Birth of the Legend. But then when he's talking about playing that team that was way better than theirs, and he's like, "What are we going to do, Pete?" He said, "Let's give them a show they'll never forget." I like that
Dude,
idea.
you bringing up old stuff. I could have said the fish that saved Pittsburgh, but I was afraid you might not know that one. But
Some coaches have said that. I've tried to watch it. I just couldn't get into it, man. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
it's old. It's old.
Favorite holiday?
Christmas.
What book would you give someone?
I'd give them a journal. I think I would give them a journal, and
You a
I would
big
encourage
journaler?
them to. No, not really. I mean, a little bit. But I also think that there's so many ways to learn now. People are
Yeah.
big readers. Other people hop on Synergy. Other people just go down the street and pay attention. There's all kinds of ways to do it, and I think if you started writing down cool things that you experience on a daily basis, you could put together a heck of a book yourself. So that's what I would do. But 11 Rings is one of my favorite books of all time for a multitude of reasons. And I just think the whole story from beginning to end of what Phil built and what he did and the way he did
Yeah.
it, 11 Rings is an incredible read for me.
A couple more. Favorite place
Yeah.
to travel?
Jersey Shore. Definitely. Yeah, that's
Nice.
my wife is a Jersey girl, and we find our way back to the Jersey Shore. We had a really cool run of Jersey Shore vacations when I was a kid, and that's a reasonable answer. The other one would be Italy, pretty much anywhere in Italy, but that's a
Yeah.
little more complicated. But definitely, man, anytime we get to the Jersey Shore is a good time.
I haven't heard that one before, but good memories for me. I grew up in Pennsylvania, and
yeah.
our YMCA team for a couple summers in a row went to the Jersey Shore tournament, and so got to play a little basketball there and go to all everything. So
Yeah.
good times.
Yeah.
If this was your last year of coaching, what would you do more of?
Honestly, I do more of the same. I don't think I've wasted a lot of time doing this, man. I think I've been pretty present the whole time, and I've appreciated everything that I've been able to experience the whole time, good, bad, indifferent, all that stuff. So I would just try to finish it the way that I've done it the whole time and be comfortable with the way my signature looks as I sail off into the sunset, man.
I love that answer. I
Yeah.
think I think the goal for a lot of us is to be able to say that, to be so comfortable and so happy with the direction things are going. Because any of these questions, I always think like, what would I say? And because a lot of coaches say to that they would have more fun,
Yeah.
which means that they're not like that's not a priority. And fun doesn't mean just roll the balls out and we're
No
not
doubt.
doing hard things. You can
Yeah.
define what fun is. Fun is for us is putting in purposeful time, training in creative ways. But I thought about that. I was like, well, I can't say have more fun because what does that look like? I think we're having a reasonable amount of fun right now.
Yeah.
So to your point, I just want to keep going this way. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that. Last one in basketball
Yep.
on the men's side, because that's where this conversation is fun. Who's the
Yep.
GOAT?
Mike, not close, and I want to go down this road real quick because for me
Yeah.
it's Mike, Kobe, Steph,
Mm,
and I don't think Steph Curry gets the credit he deserves for being the best player of his generation.
yep.
And for anyone not 6'9" that can run us, 40 and 6, whatever it is, like people have unbelievable physical gifts, and I don't begrudge them any of those things. But to see somebody that has the limitations that Steph has and accomplish what he's accomplished in a team sport with the
Yep.
same franchise, look, man, it's not close. It's just
And his
not close
story, he wasn't labeled the king in 8th grade.
ever.
And the fact that the impressive thing with LeBron, I'm not a hater. He's not on my Mount Rushmore, but
Yeah,
he has probably the most incredible longevity, to a career. But the most impressive thing about him is the fact that he was labeled the king and had a pretty darn good career and never had any huge falls. Like Jordan had
my
some falls, he
yeah,
had some, but go ahead.
no, say it. Yeah, in terms of just kind of being a good dude, family man,
Yeah,
all that kind of
yeah. The
stuff.
fact
Yeah,
that actually worked out
yeah.
with all the pressure, the social media, the everything that he had that Jordan didn't have. But you're right. I think Curry, he's up there for darn
No
sure.
question. My brother Chris, we're doing this little exercise with my son Cole, who is doing a prep year at Trinity. We benefit from the tuition exchange thing. So he's not a full-time student. He's a part-time student.
Hmm.
So it doesn't start his NCAA clock, but he's getting some college experience. He's getting to train with me, play hoops with the men's team a little bit.
That's cool.
One of the things that he's doing as one of my assistant coaches is he has a list of 10 questions, not unlike what we're doing today, that he's got 6 people that he has to interview, and he has to collect that data, and he has to come back to me and tell me what he's learned from the answers that he's gotten. So my son's doing this interview, right? And one of the people that he's talking to is my brother Chris, who's the head coach at Dallas Jesuit. And Chris is a guy who reads a lot. And I don't know necessarily where this particular soundbite came from, but he talked about in the same vein, like who's the GOAT type of conversation. He was like, Mike was worried about dynasty. LeBron has been worried about legacy. And the entire time LeBron has been playing basketball, he's never worried about dynasty. He's worried about legacy. Michael built a dynasty in Chicago. Steph built a dynasty in Golden State. Kobe did the same in LA. These dudes, man, like you can talk about Mike going to the Wizards, but that was about some different stuff. Like he was a Chicago Bull. Steph's been a Warrior. Kobe was a Laker. Reggie was a Pacer. Tim was a Spur. Like that part of it goes a long way for me, where you show respect to the franchise that gave you the opportunity. You create greatness and you stay. And man, it's everything. Team sport, loyalty, doing it the right way. Single franchise superstars, man. If I could build my team, I'd get as many of those as I could find.
Man, I just want to thank you so much for giving up an hour and a half of your time. And
Yep.
I've got so many valuable things from you, but it was just really, I'll just tell you, it was enjoyable to listen to you talk about your program, your team, how you've done things. To me, a lot of refreshing things, but then also validating for coaches that I think want to do things and run things like you do. That man, people like you are out there, and we can learn from. And I just enjoyed this so much.
I really, really appreciate it. And I feel the same way. I think these are really cool opportunities, and certainly really I want to be able to spend time with good people talking about what we both love. So I had a blast, and I'm excited to meet you in person, man. I'm sure we'll cross paths this year. So I definitely look forward to that.
Be down there to watch Landon's team play as much as possible. His mom and I are very much self-aware
of who Landon is, and also okay with the idea that, man, it takes time and it might not be for a year or two. But I think if he stays the course, because I would imagine at college basketball right now, like you talked about with Dynasty, but loyalty and people that are willing to invest and stay the course, that becomes valuable at some point. And so
100%.
we're trying to speak that into him, and that we love the school. If
Yeah.
anybody, we didn't talk a lot of X's and O's, but if anybody wants to come to a practice or talk with you more, what's a good way for them to do that?
Just text me, man. Give me a call, shoot an email. Like it's wide open. I promise you. Like anytime, anytime. For any of it, honestly. I would love to have you or whoever would be interested in watching us practice and checking out our process. Open book, man. 100%. No secrets.
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the JAMODI Podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.